Show of hands, how many people work in programmatic? Like actually day to day? So, all right. How many people are familiar with programmatic but don't work with it? How many people don't understand programmatic? Okay. I'm new to programmatic. I'm a journalist by trade. So I've been spending the past couple of years learning about it myself. Bill here works at a DSP. We all know what a DSP stands for, right? Demand side platform. Can you tell us, we were talking earlier today about the usually unusual approach to programmatic. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so usually people expect to be told what programmatic is mechanically, how does it work, what's the technology, and I don't really think that that's your job. That's my job, that's my company's job. Programmatic really is just another way to buy some media in front of an audience, and you want to get the audience right, and you want to buy good media, and it's mechanics. So you got to think of it like a publisher buy direct, or you can think of it like an ad network, and you should evaluate it the same way, and you should be thinking about buying it the same way.
Mm-hmm. So where does a DSP plug into all this? What does a DSP do?
That's great.
I'm sorry if that's too remedial, but I'm interested.
No. So there are some advantages to programmatic. So one thing is if you approach a publisher, you have one set of media and one audience that you can address.
Right.
If you go to an ad network, you have a bigger set of media and maybe a bigger audience that you can address. Yeah. And if you go to programmatic, you have all of the media and the entire audience that you can address. Right. So that sounds good, but it also poses problems, which means you have to have mechanisms for narrowing, for throwing out segments of the audience, and a lot of that is what the DSPs bring to the table. It's more about deciding what not to buy and who not to show an ad to than it is picking media.
Right, okay, and so then how does one differentiate in the marketplace in that case?
You choose ChoiceStream and
soft sell.
No, so there's all kinds of DSPs. There's self-service DSPs, those that are designed to help you or your trading desk people put their fingers on the keyboard, choose some segments, buy them efficiently across lots of media. And then there are those that are more designed to operate as a complete solution for you rather than a tool, and that those things tend to have maybe more optimization, a little more automation, and some more bells and whistles and stuff that would come along with them. For instance, you might get dynamic creative, or you might get full service analytics, or you might get some other things that would be differentiating.
Mm-hmm. And you were talking earlier when we were chatting before about this sort of set it and forget it approach. I mean, you let someone else handle it. Is outsourcing that?
Yeah.
That comes with inherent risk? No, explain.
Set it, but don't forget it,
yeah.
Right? So yes, it comes with inherent risk like anything else, right? You can do a direct buy with the New York Times, sounds like great quality media, it could go off the rails. You have to watch it, you have to watch it. You're gonna have to watch a managed programmatic buy just the same way that you would have to watch anything. You have to watch a self-service programmatic buy your trading desk is doing for you. Mm-hmm. You got to be on top of it. You got to be on top of it every single day. You want to be communicating with your account managers at your partner vendor, and you want to be understanding, what's working well, and how could we do more of it? What's not working, and how do we get it out of there? Mm-hmm. And what are they doing on your behalf to make those things happen? And that's your job.
Are there any case studies of it going off the rails, as you say?
I have no personal case studies of it going off the rails.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen it? I mean, I'm sure you've seen it happen.
Yeah, I have seen that happen. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to name any names, although I do know them, but we have had agencies come to us and say, look, we're running 5 partners with this. We're about to lose our client. The campaign just simply is not working. What would you do differently, and how can you help us? And we do see those all the time. Like all 5 partners were off the rails, if you will. And there were things that we could do to pull it back in line.
So what would you do to pull them back in?
You told me not to be advertorial.
No, not at all. You were talking about the polling before.
So what we did in that case was we put our platform to work.
Yeah.
It's a managed service. We have some expert people who work with it. So the people who are working the tool help build the tool. They know how to work the tool. And we were able to get enough performance out of it to compensate for what the other 5 people had not done, and we saved the client.
Yeah.
Algorithms. I know you don't want to hear about algorithms, but they really do make a difference, and you should.
Okay, elaborate on that.
Right. Okay. So back to the theme. Usually it's unusual, right? So usually I walk into a room with media planners or a team for a brand, and they're like, "Don't tell me about your algorithms. Everybody has algorithms." Unusually, you need to know, because the algorithms are a huge part of what you're contracting for. And you need to understand, look, is this guy got just another algorithm, or is there something here that might be a little different, and it might be in the algorithms? So, you know, you're going to see 120 vendors every week, probably. I don't know. It's tedious, it's painful, it's boring. But that 119th or the 120th one is going to have that one unusual, unique gem that's going to either do what they say it's going to do, or it's going to spark your imagination. You're going to say, oh, I'm not going to use it for that, but what if I used it for this, or it made me think of something else? And I just got to encourage you to go through the pain of hearing everybody out and really paying attention and figuring out what it is they've got to say and what it is that they have that's different. And for you, what's special about some vendor might not even be what the vendor thinks is special about themselves. But you just listen to them, talk it through with them, and let it be like the juices of creativity. And you'll find that unusual something that can fix or turn around that campaign that's off the rails.
I thought the show of hands of people who were at least familiar with or work in programmatic was pretty telling. I mean, you would obviously have seen that 5 years ago. Where do we see things 5 years from now? I mean, this train is not stopping.
I think 5 years from now, direct buying is not completely gone away, but it's much smaller. I think ad networks, you know, probably are not completely gone away, but they're much smaller. You know, as long as there are direct buys, there's going to be ad networks, people who aggregate direct buys. But I think programmatic is going to be a lot bigger. It's going to be a lot more mature. It's going to be a lot more effective and a lot more sophisticated. And we're even seeing that today. The trend in self-service. Self-service has always been dumbed down, if you will, because all software goes through these generations. Salesforce automation, customer relationship management. It was kind of like pretty good, and it did a few things when it first started, and then it matured as thousands and thousands of end users got on board and started using it and sending in comments and telling people what they liked and didn't like, and the engineers were in the background doing the things they wish they could have done in the first place and then they couldn't do. So I think 5 years from now it's going to look like a completely different animal, but it's going to have the same promise that it has today. It's probably just going to be fulfilling that promise a lot better.
We hear a lot about brands bringing programmatic in-house. What do you see the agency of the future looking like?
I think the agency of the future will look a lot like the agency of the past. I think the agencies are going to be knowledgeable about all of the different platforms, what they do, what they're good for, and that's going to be really their job. They're just going to, while the agencies of the past were good at knowing all of the different media platforms, where the audiences were and where to buy, it's going to be the same thing for programmatic. The agencies are going to be the trusted advisors of the clients, and they're going to have a big role in that. I think the agencies may, for a long time, you said 5 years. You know, are the agency trading desks still going to be around in 5 years? Yeah, I think they are. But they're going to go through a metamorphosis. You know, they're going to be dropped. They're going to be reinstated. They're going to be merged. Things are going to happen with them a lot, and they're still going to probably be around. And I don't really want to predict whether they actually go away or whether the vendors prevail or the trading desks prevail. I think there's always going to be kind of a blend of that.
Great. We have time for literally one question, if there's anyone in the audience here. And Bill will also be around afterwards.
How do you address viewability from a programmatic standpoint with your clients?
Excuse me?
How do you address viewability?
Oh, viewability, we guarantee you 100% viewability.
Sold.
But we don't recommend that you do that. while a lot of people are out there doing 100% viewability, it leaves a lot of 50% likely to be viewable impressions on the table that are available to be bid and bought very inexpensively. And that's a huge win for a client. Because you got to remember there's a big difference between brand safety and viewability. So brand safety, if you get it wrong, you do damage. Viewability, if you get it wrong, nothing happens. So let's use some math here, right? You can buy a 100% viewable impression for $10 CPM. You can buy a 50% likely to be viewable impression for $2 CPM, right? So you had to buy 2,000 of them to get 1,000 actual views, but that only cost you $4. And it's less than half the price that you're paying for 100% viewability. So let your vendor play the game for you. That's their job. They're supposed to know how likely is it to be viewable and how likely is it to get clicked and how likely is it to cause a purchase or a conversion or a registration, right? That's their job, and their mathematicians are pretty good at it. And my recommendation is let them do it.
Okay. All right, that is all we have time for. But viewability is obviously a huge topic. We write about it a lot as well. So that was a great question. Thanks. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.